It is the ultimate symbol of global projection. A 1,400-foot nuclear-powered fortress that laughs at the concept of territorial waters because it simply flies over them. The Shield Helicarrier. In the movies, it's easy. Tony Stark takes a look at the rotors, makes a joke about structural integrity, and suddenly this 100,000-ton behemoth is cruising at 30,000 feet. But in the real world, physics is a much harsher critic than Nick Fury. Today, we're doing a no-holds-barred engineering deep dive. We aren't just asking if it's possible, we're calculating exactly how many laws of physics we'd have to break to make it happen. We're looking at the thrust paradox, the fuel nightmare, and the structural suicide of the world's most famous flying boat. Put on your hard hats. It's time to find out why the Helicarrier is the most beautiful engineering disaster ever conceived. The scale problem. To understand the Helicarrier, we first have to look at its inspiration. The U.S. Navy's Nimitz, or Gerald R. Ford-class aircraft carriers. These are the largest warships on the planet. They are roughly 1,100 feet long and weigh about 100,000 metric tons. But the Helicarrier is even bigger. Movie concept art and official stats suggest it's closer to 1,500 feet long. Even if we assume that they use some super advanced lightweight alloys, let's be generous and keep it at that 100,000-ton mark. We are still talking about a mass equivalent to 650 blue whales or 275 Empire State Buildings. Now, a ship in the ocean has it easy. It uses buoyancy, it displaces its weight in water, and the ocean pushes back. It's basically a giant steel bowl that stays up for free. The moment the Helicarrier leaves the water, buoyancy vanishes. Now, you're relying entirely on Newton's third law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. To keep 100,000 tons in the air, you have to push 100,000 tons of air downward with enough force to counteract gravity. This is where the math starts to hurt. The thrust paradox. In the movies, the Helicarrier uses 4 massive ducted fans. To find out if these could work, we use something called actuator disk theory. To hover, the Helicarrier needs to generate 980 million newtons of thrust. If we divide that among 4 rotors, each rotor needs to kick out 245 million newtons. To put that in perspective, the F-35's engine, it produces 190,000 newtons. You would need 1,289 F-35 engines per rotor. The Saturn V rocket, the most powerful machine humans ever built, it produced 35 million newtons. The verdict: you would need 7 Saturn V rockets strapped to each corner of the Helicarrier, firing at 100% capacity just to keep it from falling out of the sky. But wait, it gets worse. Let's talk about downwash velocity. If you use fans as small as the ones in the movie, roughly 30 to 40 meters in diameter, you have to move the air incredibly fast to get that much lift. Calculations show that the air leaving those fans would be moving at over 1,300 meters per second. That is Mach 3.8. The wind underneath the Helicarrier wouldn't just be a breeze, it would be a hypersonic blast wave that would vaporize any support ships below it and shatter every window within a 5-mile radius. You wouldn't be hovering over a city, you'd be deleting it. The energy crisis. But wait, you say, the Helicarrier is nuclear-powered. It has infinite energy. Well, infinite is a strong word. To maintain that hover, our 100,000-ton beast requires roughly 200 gigawatts of power. To give you a sense of how much energy that is, a modern nuclear-powered carrier produces about 0.2 gigawatts. You would need 1,000 naval nuclear reactors squeezed into the hull to provide enough juice to turn those fans. Even if Tony Stark invented a new element arc reactor that could provide that power, you still have the heat problem. No engine is 100% efficient. If those fans are even 1% inefficient, the waste heat being generated by 200 gigawatts of power would be enough to melt the entire hull of the ship into a puddle of slag in minutes. The Helicarrier wouldn't be a ship, it would be a flying toaster with the heating element turned to supernova. Structural suicide. Let's talk about material science. Aircraft carriers are designed like bridges. They are long, rigid boxes built to handle the stress of waves pushing up from the bottom. But a helicarrier is suspended from 4 points on its perimeter. This creates a massive cantilever stress. The weight of the entire center of the ship, the hangars, the bridge, the 50 fighter jets, is trying to pull the middle of the ship downward, while the rotors are pulling the corners upward. Think of it like trying to lift a wet cardboard box by just the 4 corners. The middle is going to fall right through. To stop the helicarrier from snapping in half like a twig, the internal spine of the ship would need to be made of something far stronger and lighter than steel. We're talking massive quantities of carbon nanotubes or titanium aluminide alloys that don't even exist at this scale yet. And don't forget the vibration. Having 4 rotors spinning with the power of 30 Saturn V rockets would create a resonance that would literally shake the nuts and bolts out of the ship. Every flight on the helicarrier would feel like being inside a giant paint can mixer. The flying target problem. Finally, let's talk about the military reality. Why don't we build these? Because it's a 100,000-ton target. A sea-based carrier is protected by the curvature of the Earth and a screen of destroyers and submarines. A flying carrier is visible on radar from hundreds of miles away. It can't hide. In Winter Soldier, they added reflective panels for stealth. But remember that Mach 3.8 downwash we talked about? Even if you can't see the ship, you're going to see the massive glowing heat signature and the literal hurricane of dust and water it's kicking up. One well-placed $2 million missile into one of those $500 billion rotors, and the whole thing becomes a very expensive lawn dart. So, the conclusion, is it possible with current technology? Absolutely not. With 22nd century technology? Maybe if we master room temperature superconductors, ultra-strong nanomaterials, and find a way to ignore the fact that the downwash would destroy everything in its path. But here's the thing, we do have flying aircraft carriers. They're just not ship-shaped. A C-130 transport plane launching and recovering Gremlin drones? That's a flying carrier. The proposed Lockheed CL-1201 nuclear flying wing? That was a helicarrier in all but name. The helicarrier is a beautiful dream. It's the ultimate expression of, because it's cool. But for now, if you want a massive ship that stays afloat, it's probably best to keep it in the water. Thanks for watching this deep dive. If you enjoyed the math and the mayhem, hit that subscribe button. And let me know in the comments, what fictional vehicles should we ruin with physics next? Stay curious, and don't forget your parachute.